we're still waiting for a handful of people to arrive. And I noticed a couple of people have started to introduce themselves in the box. That would be lovely to just get a feeling for who's here to join us for the conference this year. We are just going to wait for Jane Hutt to join us. I'm sure you'll all appreciate that as a minister, she has a pretty packed schedule, so we expect her to drop in probably almost on time. And then we've got quite a lot of people registered this morning, so we're also waiting for them to arrive as well. It's quite an exciting way for us to be able to deliver a conference, actually, because just watching the people dropping in and some of the speakers we've been able to line up for this conference, I don't think would have happened in the same way if we'd all been in a venue together. We've been able to get people from all over sub-Saharan Africa as well as the UK to participate in the conference, and we've even been able to extend the invitation to some of our colleagues in European countries or EU countries who work in micro and small international development organisations as well. So some of they will be joining us through the sessions across the course of the week, which is really exciting. I'm just keeping one eye on the attendees list as well whilst we arrive. So we were reflecting this morning that this is, it's the 15th of March today, and it's nearly a year to the day when we had to sadly cancel our North Wales summit, which was due to take place on the 18th of March last year. So we've just as a team this morning just been taking a few moments to reflect on what a year it has been, really, to think we could have all been together live. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes. I think these days we're all getting quite used to oh, good, Jane's arrived with us. We're getting quite used to the fact that meetings tend to just start at kind of like 5 past the hours. People just log on and find their feet with the technology and things like that, and make sure their internet's connected and take a few moments. Hi, good morning, Jane.
Good morning. Apologies, yes, I'm a couple of minutes.
No, you're perfectly expected to be around now. That's fine. We have quite a lot of registrations this morning, so I'm just giving people a couple of minutes to join the meeting.
Oh, that's fine. So I'm not late.
No. Okay, so I am just going to kind of slowly do some introductions of Hub Cymru Africa, Jane, and then we'll have you start in just a couple of minutes. It is the 2021 Global International Global Solidarity Summit. So it's a year since we had to cancel our last summit, which was obviously really sad for us not to be able to get everyone together in the room in North Wales. That said, there's been some significant things that have happened in this year as a result of COVID, both for the better and for the worse. I think COVID has really helped us to work in partnership with our partners in sub-Saharan Africa. We've got better at adapting to digital technology. We've been able to give our partners platforms at all of our events that would have just been impossible previously, but it has highlighted the differences in kind of global equality. And as we can see with kind of the vaccine rollout and things like that, we still have a long way to go, which kind of proves the point of why this sector is really important and why the work of the Wales and Africa sector is important in terms of kind of helping address global inequalities, climate change, and really improve social justice. So it's really good that we can all get together this week to kind of pause and reflect after what has been a particularly difficult year for lots of us who haven't been able to drive the work forward like we might have wanted to have done. So I just want to take a few moments, Jane, just to say thank you very much for joining us this morning to kind of launch the conference. It's slightly unusual the way it works because obviously we have people registering for separate events rather than for a whole programme. So we'd be really grateful if you could just begin proceedings for us.
Diolch yn fawr, Claire, and bore da. Good morning, everyone. So I'm really pleased to be here today at the start of what will be an incredibly interesting 5-day event. A bore ar bawb, dwi'n falch iawn y bod yma heddiw ar ddechrau digwyddiad 5 diwrnod hynod ddiddorol. As you said, Claire, the Global Solidarity Summit is such an important part of the international calendar. And it's great that so many people can attend this from wherever they are in the world. The pandemic may have closed some doors in terms of being able to physically attend big events like this, but in another way, as we've learnt, it just means that we have to think differently about how we connect with each other. Holding online events like this actually does allow more people to join in and participate. So there is much to celebrate as well as reflect on the dark shadows of this last year, where we faced some really challenging times. But good work has still continued, and people across the world are still tirelessly working together to make the world a fairer, more sustainable, and overall a better place in some way or another. And at this point, I'd like to recognise and thank Hub Cymru Africa for the integral part they play in all of this. The support you provide to the sector is invaluable, from providing advice, delivering training, and holding these really important conversations. And these events focus on bringing people together to share best practice, to raise awareness of common challenges and discuss possible solutions. And they focus on delivering maximum sustainability, developing fundraising skills and strengthening the network of people within Wales, working on projects with their counterparts and partners in Africa. And looking at the programme for this week, there are some really significant themes to be discussed, because today it's all about Wales and the world, a subject very close to my heart and all of us who are here together, close to the hearts of so many people living in Wales who want to feel connected about issues not just on their doorstep, but all around the globe. We are a warm and welcoming nation, opening our arms to people from all across the world for centuries. And we have incredibly diverse communities here in Wales, a wonderful patchwork quilt of cultures, language, and history, people who are our family, friends, neighbours, and colleagues. We pride ourselves on being a nation of sanctuary, giving people the support they need to live a happy and settled life in Wales. And we look outwardly to other countries to help us better understand our own role in the world, to learn from each other about what solidarity truly means and how we can work together to create opportunities for fairer Wales. 15 years ago in 2006, the Welsh Government launched the Wales for Africa programme as a Welsh contribution to what was then the Millennium Development Goals. This would support Wales-Africa community links, Size of Wales, Fair Trade Wales, Wales-Africa Health Links Network, Sub-Saharan Advisory Panel, and more. And over the years, the programme has changed with the times and continues to adapt to new challenges and opportunities that we face, and also learning from each other and learning from and with our partners in Africa about how we work together in the best and fairest way. Back in 2015, we introduced the Wellbeing of Future Generations Wales Act. And leading up to the Act, the Sustainable Development Alliance and others worked hard to bring diverse voices from all across Wales into the process, not least ensuring that the need for a globally responsible Wales was reflected in the goals. And one thing we're incredibly proud of, and the First Minister highlighted this last week, is the announcement that the Mbali Trees programme in Uganda, working with the Size of Wales, is soaring ahead with its target of planting 25 million trees by 2025. 15 million trees have been distributed to families and communities in eastern Uganda, which is just amazing. More than 3 million trees have been distributed this year alone, even during the time of COVID. So I offer many congratulations to all those involved. Trees on the equator grow really quickly and can absorb more carbon, but this project is about so much more than this. It's about livelihoods, gender equality, child nutrition and health benefits, and that can be seen from the amazing work of our Ugandan partners, funded and supported by Wales. Supporting livelihoods and helping communities to thrive is crucial, which is why in February 2019, the Welsh Government donated fisheries protection vessel to the Government of Liberia. After extensive discussions between the Wales and Africa team, World Bank Fisheries Department representatives, the EU Fisheries team and Liberian Coast Guard and fisheries institutions, an agreement was reached for the handover. The boat donation has helped to protect fish stocks for the benefit of the 40,000 families dependent on fishing from dugout canoes for their livelihoods, as well as the wider community from other trawlers operating illegally in Liberian waters. This sort of outcome is exactly what we should be looking for when creating opportunities to support people to improve their own circumstances. And the Wales and Africa Grant Scheme, managed by Wales Council for Voluntary Action, does exactly this. Even through the challenges and barriers created by the pandemic, we've still managed to run a number of grant rounds for projects to address the challenges of COVID. Over £650,000 has been provided to fund both small and large-scale Wales Africa projects. Just over this last year, we funded 42 diverse African projects with partners from all over Wales, and there are more projects to be confirmed soon. And we will be opening another small grants round in the spring, and I really want to encourage community groups and organisations to bid for a share of this funding and work with us. But I must stress the type of applications we want to see are the ones that can clearly evidence the strength of existing partnerships or show that there are steps in place to develop these partnerships. I want to see partnerships that have a clear and active voice in the outcomes they wish to achieve. I expect these projects to be African partner-led, and therein lies a crucial role for Hub Cymru Africa to provide support where it is needed or requested. Now, more than ever, we need to continue strengthening our links and nurturing our partnerships. The UK's decision to leave the European Union marked a fundamental shift in our international environment and presented a clear demand for a new, refocused strategic document communicating our approach to engagement with the rest of the world. Our international strategy, published in January 2020, set out our ambition to establish Wales as a globally responsible nation. And being globally responsible means looking for opportunities to give people the tools to help them out at difficult times. The COVID pandemic is one such example where nations must support others wherever they can. It's not just about making sure we're okay. And this is why I agreed to provide an extra £1 million to a number of organisations, including United Purpose, WCVA and the Disasters and Emergencies Committee, DEC, to work in partnership with many countries in Africa to fight against COVID and help with fundraising, to provide basic facilities and equipment to lessen the spread of the virus, and to deliver training on how places need to adapt when there are large crowds gathering. This sort of critical work is helping children get back to school. It's providing clean water and soap stations and essential PPE. It's helping people get digital assistance in areas that couldn't previously provide this, so people in remote areas can receive training and advice. A big part of establishing Wales as a globally responsible nation was our commitment in the international strategy to expand and rename the Wales for Africa programme as Wales and Africa, better acknowledging the mutually beneficial partnership between us. The Wales and Africa Action Plan, published last year, sets out how we will continue building on our achievements to continue supporting the fantastic work people and groups across Wales and from Africa are doing towards meeting the UN Sustainable Development Goals and ending poverty in all its forms everywhere by 2030. I note the other themes that will be running over the course of this 5-day event also impact on the SDGs. I'm particularly pleased to see there's a whole day dedicated to gender and inclusion, something else that I'm deeply dedicated in advocating. As the UN has stated, women and girls everywhere must have equal rights and opportunities and be able to live free of violence and discrimination. Women's equality and empowerment is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, but also integral to all dimensions of inclusive and sustainable development. In short, all of the SDGs depend on the achievement of Goal 5. Last week, I published a written statement for International Women's Day, highlighting just some of the work we've achieved this year, which includes actions to support women during the pandemic, including helping women to stay safe, provision of childcare support, creating training opportunities, and supporting women and girls into STEM. And we've seen the role of women as scientists, clinicians, and managers at the forefront of responding to the pandemic, not just here, but across the world. As we all know, International Women's Day is a day when we celebrate the achievements of women and girls in Wales and around the globe, whilst also recognising there is more to do as we work towards gender equality. And of course, this has been home so sharply to us over this past week with the tragic murder of Sarah Everard and our women's response to that. This year's theme was Choose to Challenge. In advancing equality for women and girls, we must ensure that the multiple intersecting forms of disadvantage and discrimination are challenged and called out where we witness them. Now, there are many examples, as I've said, of female role models in Wales who've come to prominence during the pandemic. And again, I pay tribute to all their amazing work during what's been such a challenging time. We have a plan to advance gender equality in Wales, which I published in March last year. It sets out our ambition and practical steps to advance equality for women and girls. And the intention of the Gender Equality Review was to set out a long-term plan for change. We recognise that this is a significant piece of work which will span 20 years of sustained intervention to create the changes we want. And it's been said that collective action remains the best way of renewing the march towards the great trinity of liberty, equality, and solidarity. And solidarity is key here. The human values of solidarity underpin global responsibility. If we want to see a better world for future generations, then solidarity is key. It's about looking at what we can do at home, what we can do further afield together. Being globally responsible is something that needs to start at grassroots and taken right to the top, seizing momentum wherever we can. So I want to thank you for your time today and for involving me at the start of this summit. Hoffwn i ddiolch I chi am eich amser heddiw ac am fynd gan os a ddechrau i'ch gynhadledd hon. Dwi'n dymuno'r gorau i chi ar gyfer yr hyn sy'n ymddangos yn wythnos ysbrydoledig iawn. I wish you all the best for what looks set to be a very inspiring week. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch, Jane, and thank you so much for highlighting the hard work of the sector and what we can go forward to do in solidarity with each other. We also would like to thank you just ahead of the next election in May for all the work you've invested into the international development sector whilst you've had responsibility for it, and we're hoping that you'll still hold that kind of investment for us after May. So we look forward to working with you in the future. I can see lots of thanks coming through on the question and answer box, but we're not going to hold you today, Jane, because I know you've got an incredibly busy schedule at the moment. But yes, thank you for joining us. And yeah, thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye, Jane. So that was Jane this morning. We had hoped she might be able to stay for questions and answers, but I think we'll all appreciate it in the moment that that our politicians have a lot on their plates. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to outline what's going to be happening over the next few days. It's really strange having to open a conference when you know only a handful of people will be joining each session at any given moment. So we will be recording all of these sessions and putting out sound bites so people have a sense of what's been said in the opening speeches. Over the next 5 days, we've got a really packed programme of events. So today, like Jane said, is Wales in the World, which is very much about what we're doing in Wales to kind of heighten our global responsibility, and a few training sessions on kind of money transfers and things. So domestic things that can help us work internationally. Tomorrow we have a day focused on climate justice. So the very real impact that our lifestyles in the West tend to have on developing world countries. And we're going to be talking about that, including having some excellent keynote speakers talking about fair trade and how fair trade is dealing with climate justice. On Wednesday, we have a day based on sustainability. So lots of really interesting sessions there, and we're going to be joined by David Pension, who did a really inspirational lecture for us last year on moving sustainability, particularly in public services. We have our Gender and Inclusion Day on Thursday, which Jane just mentioned. It's a really important day for us. We're really, really lucky to have some really, really remarkable women coming to talk to us about their gender programs in sub-Saharan Africa. And we're really lucky as well to be working in partnership with United Purpose on one of those events, bringing Dorcas to speak to us, who runs a sports program for women and girls in Kenya. And on Friday, we'll be focusing on amplifying partner voices. It's a really important day for us. This year has been eye-opening, and I think has really accelerated the change needed in the sector, particularly when we've reflected on the Black Lives Matter movement and how important it is for us in Wales to work in a way that is leaving behind our kind of colonial attitudes or colonial systems and structures, and work in a way that really is in partnership with the people we work with in sub-Saharan Africa. And our Amplifying Partner Voices Day is really going to focus in on that and highlight some of those really key issues and topics. We'll also be launching our Reframing the Narrative photography competition on Friday afternoon to close the conference. So I would hope that some of you can join us for that as well. I'm not going to keep everyone on this Zoom call for too long. It's a really important week. I really hope everyone gets a lot out of it. We've really set out to kind of inspire, help learn, and give people space to network and reflect. So I know the next session after this one is a Bring Your Own Coffee morning, being led by my colleague Hannah, who I think is on this call as well. So if you are feeling a bit starved of social contact, or you haven't had an opportunity to kind of network with friends and colleagues in the sector for a while, please join that one. It starts, I think, around 11:30. Hannah's in the chat box letting us know exactly what's happening. At the end of every session, we'll be letting you know what the next session is. So if you're able to join it, please do. So it does start at 11:30. Across the course of this week, we'll also be taking polls and asking for lots of feedback. Like I was saying at the beginning of this call, in March last year, we should have all got together in North Wales for our annual summit. This year, we're online. Next year, who knows what's going to happen, but we really want to make sure we listen to you all and get a sense of whether the digital format works, and if actually having better access to our partners in Africa actually is more important sometimes than all coming together in a room. So please do give us lots of honest feedback across the course of the week, so that we're able to plan our next big event, which hopefully will see some of us networking in person soon. I'm going to end this introduction and Jane's keynote speech, and wish you all well for the week, and I hope you participate in our work. And looking forward to touching base with lots of you during the sessions that are going ahead. Thank you, everyone.